Welcome to the Oakles channel. Thanks for watching today. And Nintendo is back in the news again because they've released a press statement basically saying that the pre-order date for the Nintendo Switch 2 in the United States of America has been delayed to an unspecified time period. The release date of the actual Switch on June 5th is not going to change. That's still pretty much set in stone. However, the pre-order date of when we can actually make sure we're going to get one, we have no idea when that's going to be. And this is a very specific reason. It has nothing to do with Nintendo themselves. Nintendo came out and they said what the reason is. In the press statement, it said pre-orders for Nintendo Switch 2 in the U.S. will not start April 9th, 2025 in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. Now, obviously, what they're referring to are the Trump tariffs that were announced just a couple of days ago. They pretty much put a tariff on every country that we trade with, or the vast majority of them. And I think there's 65 total, or at least 65. And Vietnam is going to be one that has hit the hardest. And that's where Nintendo produces the majority of its consoles. Vietnam is hit with a 46% tariff rate. And what that basically means, if you don't know how tariff works, let's say Best Buy as a company is getting ready to buy a $100 television from Vietnam. Vietnam is selling it to Best Buy for $100. They buy the TV from Vietnam, they bring it over here, but before Best Buy can actually purchase the television, there's a 46% tariff put on it by the United States government, which means Best Buy is now going to have to pay $146 for that television. Now, Best Buy can either absorb those costs and still try to sell the television at a reasonable price to the American public, or they can choose to pass that $46 on to the consumer and make them pay the extra cost, so Best Buy still makes it the same amount of profit. Generally speaking, the companies are going to pass on the buck as much as they can to the customer because they still want to make their profit, and the customer is the one that suffers in this entire exchange. So Nintendo is in a very precarious position here because they obviously have a massive tariff being put on the Switch 2 if they want to sell the United States of America, and they can either A, increase the cost of the Switch 2 and pass that cost on to the consumer, or try to keep the price of the Switch 2 exactly the same and just simply to eat that cost internally, which is going to damage the company as a whole. And yes, I do know Nintendo is a massive company. They could afford to possibly eat some of the cost. However, if this progresses and continues on, Nintendo will eventually have to make a decision. Is it worth to continue eating that cost? We're going to lower the quality of the product that they're producing to make it cheaper, or are you simply going to stop selling as much to certain regions of the world? And so this could have pretty mass effects for Nintendo as a company and also for the American consumer out there. And this really isn't just simply targeted at just Nintendo. They're just simply the first high-profile company that had a really high-profile item coming out at just the exact same time these tariffs went into place. But this is going to affect goods all across the board. And there are a lot of companies out there trying to figure out how they're going to basically get their imports and exports in and keep the price down to a reasonable number, not lose enough money to basically have to close down plants and such and keep their people employed, but also not raise the price so much that the consumers can't afford what they're putting out there. And so, I don't know, the stock market is very fickle about this unsurety right now. And as you can see on pretty much any, I'll put a little picture right here actually, the stock market is in not great shape. And so, I don't know, this is very bad news for Nintendo as a whole, and I can't imagine it going in pretty much any good direction unless somehow these tariffs do get resolved before they actually go into effect on April 9th. And then Nintendo can keep their $449 for the console itself. But if no agreement is met, it's going to be either a long time before they actually announce the pre-order window, because Nintendo, once they put an official price on there for that pre-order, they are not going to change it once you put that order in. And so they want to make sure they have pretty much certainty of where the market is going before they put that price on it. But like I said, judging from what Nintendo themselves have said, it's possible that the price is going to go up on the Switch, or it's predicted that it's probably going to go up unless some sort of agreement is met. But what do you all think? Do you think the price of the Switch is getting ready to rise even higher? Or do you think Nintendo is going to figure out some way to keep the price even if the tariff does remain in effect? Let me know in the comments down below. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check out my other videos listed up above. And go out there, find a great game to play. Simply have a great rest of the day.